Bonsoir, bienvenue à la séance extraordinaire le 29 novembre. Welcome to the special public meeting on November 28th. Ms. Parker, do we have any items to be added or removed?
There are no items to be added or removed.
Est-ce qu'on a des déclarations de conflit d'intérêt?
Aucun conflit d'intérêt.
Okay, so we're going at the draft resolution 3.1, reconsideration of defeated motion, first reading of proposed bylaw 2024-01, entitled the bylaw respecting water and sewer services and charges in the city of Bathurst. Ms. Parker.
That the motion 9.5.2 pertaining to the first reading of the proposed bylaw 2024-01 entitled a bylaw respecting water and sewer services and charges in the city of Bathurst, defeated at the regular public meeting dated November 20th, 2023, be reconsidered.
All right, so I'll need somebody to move. Councillor LeBlanc, and I'll need a seconder. Councillor Willett, ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose? Nay. Nay. Okay. So, nay, please raise your yellow card. Perfect. Okay. No, all, okay.
This is
Just defeat it.
the
No, we're defeating it. Now we're going to the first reading and we can discuss it there and you can vote again. All right. Motion approved. We will go to municipal bylaws 4.1. First reading of proposed bylaw 2024-01 entitled bylaw respecting water and sewer services and charges in the city of Bathurst. Ms. Parker.
That the proposed bylaw 2024-01 entitled a bylaw respecting water and sewer services and charges in the city of Bathurst shall be read 3 times by title as per requirements specified in the Local Governance Act, Section 15(3), and that the above-mentioned proposed bylaw may be examined by contacting the city clerk during regular office hours, and that the above-mentioned proposed bylaw shall be posted to the City of Bathurst website and Facebook page as per the Local Governance Act, Section 71C, and that the purpose of the aforementioned proposed bylaw is to set rules and regulations to govern the use and management and maintenance of water and sewer systems within the City of Bathurst. Be it resolved that the proposed bylaw 2024-01 entitled a bylaw respecting water and sewer services and charges in the City of Bathurst be read for the first time by title.
All right, may I have a mover? Councillor Hondas, seconder. Councillor Willett, ready for the question? All those in favor signify by saying, oh, we can go straight to questions first before we go to the vote. All right. Deputy Mayor Anderson, I was jumping the gun on that one.
So, excuse me. I had asked to bring this motion back to the floor because as I have personally, I have never been opposed to a fixed rate. I think as somebody that's been sitting here for 8 years, dealing with increases year after year after year and never being able to get ahead, I see the need for the fixed rate. I see the need for the upgrade to our systems, the water treatment plant, the infrastructure, the water meters, the whole 9 yards. I get the reasoning. My issue with why I voted no was because I felt that our lower income people were the ones that were going to suffer from this. So that's why I asked to have it brought back. I did speak with Mr. Pettigrew, and I have spoken with Ms. Gauvin about a method in where we could redirect redirect the discounts that were being offered to those that would benefit from it. So as opposed to just necessarily being over the age of 65, move it so that that discount can be applied to people that are making an income and below. Leave the GIS supplement as it is. I fully believe that needs to remain as it is. But for me, I wanted to find a way to help the lower income people because I felt that those people were the ones that were going to be impacted the hardest with the fixed rate. So that's why I've asked if we could possibly redirect the discount that was offered so that it would impact those people would get the help that they need. We're looking at a 15% increase regardless across the board. This is going to help, for me, if we can redirect that discount, this is going to help to offset those costs for our lower income families. And that could be seniors that are lower income. That could also be the single moms or single dads that are struggling with their children, to feed their children on a daily basis. So that's why I asked to have this brought back, because I do believe in the need for the fixed rate. We need to be able to stop the bleeding somehow. We need to be able to work on our infrastructure without dealing with the same issue year in, year out. So that was my proposal, so.
Okay. So for this evening, if you pass the first reading, it doesn't mean it goes through. It means that our department will start working on other ideas that they can bring back next Monday, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Pettigrew. Next Monday, we still have a second reading and we still have a third reading, and it can still be refused at the third reading. By approving this evening, it's just given a direction to our staff to say, look at options. If they can't find anything and they come back with the same, the decision will be yours. And by then, we'll have a better, by then, hopefully, I'm not sure if it'll be by next Monday, but we'll have a better idea of what the actual increase will be if we don't go with a fixed rate. Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'm disappointed this is back on the table. It was a 6-3 vote of council to not go with a fixed rate and to go with meters. I'm a firm believer in the meters. I've been around for a while, and the meters have seemed to work, and it stops abuse, and it makes it fair that if you use the water, you pay for the water. If you don't use the water, you don't pay for it. So I know that we put millions and millions and millions into our water system over the years, into the treatment plant, into the plumbing. We've done street after street after street, and now we're saying we have to increase by 15%. I find that very difficult to take. So I can't support going to the fixed rate. I think that we should stay with the meters. And the meters don't wear out as fast as what some people say. I've had people stop me at the grocery store in different places saying, look, my meter's 25 years old, it works perfectly. And to say that we're having that many problems, it's difficult to take. So consequently, I can't support the motion this evening, but I will respect the vote of council. We live in a democracy. I thought we did live in a democracy and had a 6-3 vote, but I guess that's not the way it works here. So I'll end at that.
All right. So we will go to the vote. This will be for the first reading, which gives direction to management to start looking at an option, and then we bring it back at the second and third reading, which again will be voted on. So, Deputy Mayor Anderson?
Just clarification. So if we vote yes tonight, but this is going to ensure, like, you'll have the direction to come back with
Yes.
stuff next week, because I want to make sure of that, because I'm not in favor of the current structure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We're giving them directions to come up with different ideas.
Can I ask one question as well? Sonia, when you look, would you have an overall number roughly of what is owing in water bills, like past due water bills? Would you have a general number? Like, is that part of a huge issue as well, that people aren't paying their bills?
Yep, you've got.
I wasn't sure if my microphone was on or
Yeah.
not. So I don't have the number right on top of my head. I could get that out. But right now, because of leaks, for example, we have some customers that have such big leaks and not able to pay that they are currently incurring more interest than the actual water usage per month, per billing. So it's like a hole without an end. So at least if the leakage wouldn't have an issue on them, for those people, at least it would be a fixed something, and we could work on payment plan. But right now, for these people, some have really big invoices, and the interest is compound. It's 1.5% compounded. So I mean, it does get quite significant.
And outside of leaks, do we have an issue with people not paying the bill, their water bill?
Yes, we do. And for some, it's not for lack of anything. It's just, after a while, if we don't take the time to do our collections, it gets to that point. The sooner we can stop them from increasing, the easier it gets. But with all the steps that we've shown with the study, there are, if I remember correctly, 8 steps. By the time we get to that step and stop dealing with the property transfers that are a long time because of the meters, and by the time that we get to the leakage issues and everything, there is absolutely no time for the collection. And when we get to the collection, mind you, it's not just working on collecting the money. If we have to do shut-off, we're taking crews from Public Works to do those shut-off, and it's a big job to do. So because it's getting bigger, it's just getting this monster that we just can't get to because it would be too significant. So it's compounded with a lot of issues with that step of the process.
Does that answer your question? Okay, so just realized we did a boo-boo. When we did the first reading, when I asked for a motion, Councillor LeBlanc motioned. I cannot take his motion because he was part of the yeas and not the nays. So Stephen Legacy will be, he just raised his hand. Okay, all right. So we're lit up. Mr. Pettigrew.
Thank you, Worship. Just to clarify for tonight as well, for some of that information that Councillor Deputy Mayor Anderson mentioned, we will gather some of that information, bring back to the meeting to have another discussion next week with that information. So it's important that we gather the questions so we have the time to be able to find out what exactly you would like to have for the next week. So it gives us more time to have a meaningful debate with the information you're looking for.
Okay. So, Councillor LeBlanc?
Yeah, my question is, I seem to have heard multiple times now that we would need more employees to fill these holes that are being created by the over-administration. How many employees would it take for this to get under control, simply?
So we took some initial information. There's at least one additional utilities clerk because of process. We've doubled the property transfers. We've all the calls that we're getting and getting to the control to the collection, that would, for administrative finance, would take one additional person. Then talking to Mr. Abernathy to change 200 meters per year would be one additional, plus the associated costs with that, with the meters and stuff. But really, when you consider that you have 4,000 meters, and with the e-coders now, there's a rotation every 10 years. I know that the older versions can last longer, but they're not offered on the market that well now. So if you really want to get with the new ones that are changing with the decimals and all of that in the infrastructure, you would need to change 400 per year to maintain that. So right now, one additional person can change 200 per year, and that's doing only that.
So can you bring all those numbers next week? Will that be, so we know what the extra costs would be?
Yes.
I'm not against the meters either. I'm against losing money every year and not being able to invest in our infrastructure. So I'd like to have those numbers brought next week if possible.
Yep.
When we do look at moving forward. So, thank you.
All right. Councillor Branch?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm just curious, how many of those undetected leaks would we get, like, per quarter?
What do you mean? In what sense?
Well, you're just saying there were a lot of bills where people weren't paying because there were undetected leaks. I guess I'm just trying to figure out how many undetected leaks do we have, like per month or per quarter or per year? Like
Not undetected. They were detected when they got the bill. I can tell you that I've been getting credit leaks since we've approved that. I've been getting 2 credit leaks per week, and those are the ones that qualify.
So that's over 100 leaks per year, and those leaks are only detected because they have meters. So if we get rid of meters, those will be undetected leaks.
The ones that are in the household would remain there. And mind you that the reason for the meter is it's an added bonus to spot a leak. However, it's not in the responsibility of the city to check the pipe. So the bylaw is very clear that what's on that side of the line is the responsibility and the onus of the owner. It's a methodology, so what I would suggest, if people are using the meters to spot their leaks, there's nothing stopping them from procuring one themselves and having a check for them. I would certainly recommend that for apartment buildings if they want to have one, but at least it wouldn't be the responsibility of the city, because for the city, the reason for the meter, the sole reason for the meter is to know how much to invoice.
No, and I wasn't even going there. Where I was going is that if we take the meters out, then these leaks will go undetected because a lot of people don't notice them. If there are 100+ people a year just notice leaks now when they get their water bill, when they aren't billed on usage, they are not going to know that they have those leaks. So the thing that I'm curious about, like I did a little bit of research and I seen a study that said whenever water is not metered, there tends to be an approximate 22% increase in water consumption. So I'm thinking, you know, this could be a solution right now to take the meters out because we have a lot of additional capacity. But you extend 100+ undetected leaks a year and a potential 22% increase in usage, then eventually down the road we do end up with a capacity issue. So my thing is there could be, you know, there's the environmental side of producing all this additional water, and then there's also the capacity side, because eventually that will catch up to us. And I guess one other point I would like to make, like we discuss this fixed versus variable cost. There are a lot of things that we deal with in life that are the same way, like NB Power. To produce electricity is very high fixed cost, very low variable cost. Same thing with petroleum products like gasoline, vehicles. I mean, you're talking a couple of $1,000s in metal and plastic, yet the cost vary greatly. So I guess I just want to point that out. Like when we go to the gas pumps, we don't all pay the same price. When we get our power bill, we don't all pay the same price, despite the fact that they have very high fixed cost.
Councillor Hondas, you were lit? Oh, hold on. Okay, I'm giving you the
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm kind of glad that we had the chance to bring this back, just for the simple reason that we're having a chance to debate it. I think if everybody would have been educated on the proposal, I think it would have been a lot easier for people to swallow, as they say. For me, I voted yes against it because I truly believe in our staff and believe they did their homework. But I'm confident in what Councillor Anderson and Deputy Mayor Anderson said, that we have to look after our older people, our single mothers and single fathers. But we do have to take care of the corporation and the city too, because, you know, I've been here since 2016, and I believe Councillor Burnett asked last week if we had a number of the percentage basically we raised since then, and I think it's 42%. So, and that, you know, and once we raise it, from what I can understand, Mr. Abernathy, you can correct me, if you raise the rate, the consumption goes down, so that doesn't help us in a way, any way, shape, or form, right? So I'm glad we brought up discussions, and don't be afraid to ask the questions you have to ask, because this is what we need to do, guys. You know, we need to fix this in one way or another, and just keep doing it the way we are. We're not getting any further. This fixed rate, we're hoping we're going to put some money into the bank that we can fix the infrastructure that we need to fix. And like Mr. Abernathy said last week, is that we were built in the 70s, and we can expect a lot more repairs to be done. But if we don't have a bank somehow, some way, shape, form, it's going to have to come from somewheres. And I believe Mr. Abernathy is tapped out. So we really have to look at something. So it's a work in progress. I'm glad we brought it back. So this is exactly what we should have did the first time, maybe, is to bring it out and have a debate on it, bring everybody's ideas. And I think, you know, we're smart enough people in this room that we can figure something out that's good for everybody. So
If I can add before I go to Councillor Burnett, Belle has a fixed rate, which is, I think, $69 and some odd cents. So if we look at their usage for 2023, and, you know, we're saying, oh, well, they can use as much water as they possibly want. They can do all the abuse. People are going to be doing the abuse. There's no abuse being done at Belle because their water consumption was not that much higher from the fixed rate from 2021 to 2022 to 2023. So this idea that we're going to be abusing our water, and some of them have water leaks, and when they notice that there's an issue, because eventually that leak will affect if you have a basement, so they are catching these and they are fixing them at Belle Bay. So we're not the only ones. In Shediac, they have fixed rates. I asked the mayor, is there any abuse of water? He says, well, not that we've seen. So, I think that we have to take in consideration what our staff is all this work that they've put forward, and there's been a lot of work, and we need to balance this budget. And our infrastructure is aging, and the only way they can fix it is by coming with a fixed rate. Now, can we come up with different ideas? By all means, yes. We're directing them that way. But we are sitting here, and you've been elected to do very difficult decisions, which is sometimes not easy. And it's going to be decisions that we're not going to be liked by the citizens. But we also have to be there for the city. So there's two ways that we have to look at this. Councillor Burnett?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Well, the question's been asked about how many people we need to hire to take care of the system. I think since we've been elected, we've hired, 12, 14 new people, new positions, spent over $1 million in new salaries. Maybe we just hired for the wrong positions, for the wrong places. We could have hired them for the water system so people wouldn't have to wait 4 years to get their meter fixed or their reader fixed. So as far as hiring, we could have changed that around. And my question then to bring back next week is, what about apartments? Like, say somebody has a 10 apartment unit. Will their rates be going up in those 10 apartment units? So, there was in the news again today how some people are losing their apartments because they can't afford to pay. And I see on my street a couple of people moving out because of increases. So will there be a big increase in the apartments if you have 10 apartments and if you have 15 apartments? So I'm worried about those people being affected, put out in the street maybe.
Yeah. I think in the presentation that we received last week is that they showed that there would be lower rates for tenants that are in apartments. The more apartments, the lesser of the rate. That in that booklet that you were given, there was a rate. But we can bring that back again next week again.
Because some apartment owners said that their water rates would be going up tremendously, and that they would have to pass that on to the tenants that live in those apartment buildings.
Yes and no, and
Yeah.
there's also landlords that as soon as it passed last week, they put notes on everybody's door and said, if you have a leak, you're going to be paying for it. I'm not paying your leak.
Yeah.
So it's a two-way street.
Yeah. I feel I'm concerned about apartment people that could lose their apartments because they can't afford them.
Yes, no, I absolutely understand that. Councillor Scarry?
Being a new councillor and I did vote against it. However, I do feel that, it's always for anything. If you don't try to change things or try to move forward and try to get a cap on things, we're just going to keep going deeper, pardon the expression, underwater, deeper in the water. There's got to be a way to help those people that are on the less fortunate side. Again, we're looking at the people that are single income, those kinds of things. I'm just wondering if we make a presentation what really sort of got me thinking that I maybe needed more information was that publication that we got at council. And after I read that and I looked over it again and looked at some other publications, I'm thinking, you know what, there's got to be a way that we can make this work for everybody. And for us, again, we're here as elected members of council. People have put trust in us. And I think that once we have everything all weighed out, and maybe is there a way when the next publication or the next presentation would be made that could be put up on the website sort of immediately, so that, just so that people would have an idea of what to expect, so that I think if we had more people, there was a couple of people that did mention the fact that when they heard some of the information that was given to us, they were sort of thinking, no, we don't want to go with a fixed rate, but if we had a little bit more information. So would there be a way that we could have that information, not necessarily all the nitty-gritty, but sort of an overview that the people might be able to understand it a little bit more? Is that?
Mr. Pettigrew, you want to add to that? Because I don't want to,
Thank you, Worship.
I know what I want to say, but.
The Communications Department did a great job in that presentation. What's important is what they're proposing and what the discussions are. It's important that the information's matched, so if there's a debate on adjusting and giving incentives at some place, we need to kind of know what those are, so we can tailor the messaging based on the discussions. Otherwise, if we're talking, we talked about the discount rate of 65 and over in the bylaw before, in the GIS as well. So that information is in there. Now, if there's a change on that with regards to another format of looking at it, we kind of need to have the discussion of council of where we want to go before we can create that content, so then the people understand what that is. But I think the generic terms that are not related to that costing, but about the water rates and the information about the history of our infrastructure and what's involved in that stuff, I think is good information to have. I think the hardest part is the nitty-gritty of this program and this program until council has that discussion, because we receive the direction from council based on that, what we need to move forward on to present. So it's, but facts of information about what our system works, how it works, how many meters we have, what type of, what the costs are, what the, what's some of those things. There could be some stuff that we could put together. I don't want to speak. I know sometimes when Ms. Govas preparing a budget is one thing, because we're looking at the capital, or we're looking at the general budget as well on Monday. But I'll speak with the communications department and see if we can work with the engineering department to come up with some quick facts and information as well related to that, but not necessarily specific.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you don't want to talk about something that is not really going to be discussed at council, or might not be debated or looked at, right?
Or discuss at council. So let's say, for example, we're talking about the 65 and over. Speaking of which, when I was at UMNB, I spoke to a few municipalities, and I had their councilors come up to me, because that is not offered in other municipalities. It's a fixed rate for everybody. So that was one option that they talked about, and I said, well, we haven't voted it in yet, so I can't tell you what we're doing. But let's say, for example, we go there and we bring it up to the citizens, but then council decides and changes their mind and changes the proposal. Then they're gonna say, yeah, but you posted and you said you guys might be doing that. Now you're not doing it. So you're kind of giving them a nickel and then taking it back. So if we go specifics, we have to be careful to the citizens, because as council, if you change your mind, then they're gonna say, yes, but you guys talked about it. So if you go just basic information, absolutely. But council has to approve it before it goes. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go to the vote. I will need someone, no, I did get someone to move in second. I just need, okay. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Oppose, nay. Raise your card, nay. Okay. 2 nay. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being with us, and we will see you next Monday. À lundi soir prochain. Bonne soirée.